Welcome to GLive Game Night. We are, I don't know what to say here, sorry. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to GLive Game Night, where we discuss topics in the board gaming hobby and things attached to it. My name is Leo, your host, joined here by Chief Meeple Hans, and of course, Raph here, good buddy of ours. We are going to be talking about digital board games in this episode. If you haven't yet, do click subscribe and let us know what other future topics you want us to cover. Let's begin. What was the very first digital board game you remember playing? Hans, I know you're super big on Ganshon recently. I remember you breaking the high score. What was your high score again? What did you set? 200, 300?
330.
There you go, 330. But what was the first game? What did you first fall in love with?
Actually, the first ever board game that I ever
Digital
bought
board game, yes.
and really, downloaded digital board game, was Summoner Wars. I remember, I think Playdeck was the developer of that, in cooperation with Plaid Hat Games, And Summoner Wars, for people who want to check it out, it's a card game with chess infused into it. That's the TLDR of that game. So that was the very first game that I got into, that I played a lot on. In fact, that was also the first ever digital board game na free to play and then I spent on.
Yes, because
I bought the expansions.
Yes, you could buy like the different armies, and you're giving me mad nostalgia. I'm not sure kung saang account siya meron, but I also bought Summoner Wars and I also bought some of the armies. Not sure if it's on my iOS or my Android, but yeah, good pickup. That was one of the earlier titles. Man.
Yes.
Crazy. All right, so Summoner Wars.
Think that it was Small World and Summoner Wars that were like the first and second games that really developed at the start with Playdeck, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
All right. Strong titles to start. How about you, Raph? What was your very first digital board game?
I mean, are we talking about just digital board game adaptations, or like as a broad sense of board gaming video games?
Pwede. I think if you have like an asterisk of like, oh, this is a video game, but it's technically board gamey. Pwede yun. But also you can do like your first legit digital board game.
Oh, okay. So I'll go both ways. So pagdating sa like a board gamey video game, I think the first one that I bought was Monster Rancher Battle Card Episode 2 on the PlayStation.
It's a specific title, but okay, that counts. That technically counts as a card game, but yes.
So because there was an episode 1 on the Game Boy. So kaya may episode 2 sa PS. And then for if we're talking about like an adaptation of a board game, Small World, yung una kong nabili on Steam. So I didn't really play that much kasi walang kalaro. But the wife didn't like it. But One Deck Dungeon was actually the one that I spent the most time on.
Right. And I hear
it's a solo board game, so
and it's very quick to play, diba? Like the game in real life is quick to play. Paano pa yung digital rendition?
And I didn't need anyone else to play with.
All right.
So
good titles. I started with Ascension. It was a deck builder, and I was a fan of the original game anyways, the physical. So I'm like, okay, if I can save time on shuffling and fixing the tokens and whatnot,
plus setup.
Yeah, the setup and everything. Then count me in. I got the game. It's free to play, guys. You can play like the base game for free. And then you buy the expansion inside, which can either be just like a small expansion or like a starter bundle that gives you an expansion and a few promos. Super solid niya. And it supports hot seat gameplay where you can just pass the phone or the tablet, whatever. So yeah, that was my start. And I think from there, how do they say? It just went downhill from there. I got so many other games. I got XenoShyft. I got Scythe. I got Lords of Waterdeep, and then wala na, dire-diretso na yun, Summoner Wars, and I think that speaks to how well digital board games have gone through the years to really entice us, board gamers, analog gamers, into that world. But I gotta ask now, uh, what are some things that's cool that these digital renditions do that really pull you in? Oh, I already mentioned one, right? Cleanup, setup, it's so much faster. I'm not sure for you guys, why do you enjoy these digital renditions? Hans, to start with you.
For me, my experience kasi with digital board games is I've played a lot of Twilight Struggle over the years. And Twilight Struggle before was hype physically, but then it had its time and then medyo nag-die down. Unfortunately, no nag-die down siya, I was still addicted to it. So the good thing about that is you can easily find like-minded people who want to play the same game, or even if, for example, you want to play versus an AI, pwede. So technically, parang solo, pwede naging solo yung game. And that's one of the things that I liked about digital board games. You can play against an AI if you just want to scratch your itch and then play a game. If you're looking for an opponent that also likes the same game, you don't need to look for somebody else and then teach them the game. You can actually just find someone who's looking for a match online.
Connect,
and then just connect. Of course, the caveat here is Twilight Struggle is a game that is very hard to get into. So it's very niche compared to, for example, Small World, Ticket to Ride, or Splendor, or Catan, diba? So
which all have digital versions. They all have digital versions, all of these games.
Yeah. And
so it's that social aspect, and again, it's the social and anti-social aspect. Like, if I want to play by myself, I can do it. But if I want to just find someone else around the world, pwede rin. Definitely. And especially for a game like Twilight Struggle, that's a big check mark, right? How about you, Raf? Yeah. What's a cool thing that the digital platform for board gaming does for you?
I think sa akin, the biggest part of it is that I can try games before buying them. So, medyo nagiging like a companion to physical board gaming. But if I want to know if my play group would like a specific game, I would have them log on to like a service like BGA or Tabletop Simulator, and then we are going to try to play it. And then if it actually clicks, then I could buy it later.
Right.
So, the biggest part. And obviously with what happening right now, connectivity then.
Right. So dati it's more of like a gateway, like, here, you want to try this, and now it's more like this is all we have, guys, let's just play. I can definitely dig it. In addition to like the cleanup and setup for me, I think one other thing that I love about digital board games is just two things: the the convenience and the lifespan. Since it is digital, since it is non-physical, there's no wear and tear involved. Like, I can play a game wherever, whenever, and I don't have to worry about it.
No sleeving required.
Yes, no sleeving required. And when I say lifespan, I mean, like, I don't have to worry about it molding. I don't have to worry about it gathering dust. I don't have to worry about it. Pinahiram ko ba to somewhere? Because it's always accessible on my accounts. So it's forever there, and that's again, I treat board games like books or like little portals into other worlds. So if I can get that same experience from a phone or like a computer, then all the more that like amplifies that effect. So those are some things that we love about digital board games. We want to hear from you guys now. Put it in the comments. What are your favorite things that digital board games do? Why do you keep playing them? Let's check out some comments from some friends that I asked. No, sabi ko, who plays digital board games? So people just said, hi, I do. What are their thoughts on it? And if it even replaces some physical versions of these games. We have here Chris. Chris says, I've been playing with a group once a week. It's great to connect with your friends you usually play with in person, but I find the experience somewhat lessened. I wonder why. I kind of agree that it is lessened. But for me, I guess it's the lack of the tactile feel. And again, like the physical and the social aspect. Kayo ba, do you ever feel that way when you're playing these digital board games? Is there something lacking?
Yeah, we I think we played Celestia one time, and it didn't feel the same way when we played it before. I mean, we enjoyed it in real life, but when we played Celestia and PGA, it felt lacking. It felt boring. So maybe there's some part of it that because there's no voice interaction, or I mean, face-to-face interactions, tas hindi mo masyadong rinig yung voices and whatnot. So, especially if it's a social kind of game, like social deduction or a party game, some of it gets lost in translation.
I see. Hans, you feel the same way? Kulang ba?
Yeah, definitely may kulang. You miss the shouts, the reactions. You even miss those moments na after you play, and then after like a week pag nagkita kayo like with your gaming group, you tell na, remember this time nung nagganito nangyari?
Right.
You miss those opportunities. Like remember this time na bigla mong trinidor, mga ganyan and blood rage, for example.
Right.
So definitely that's what's missing. And to the point that sometimes I'm gonna admit for myself, I would rather just play a video game rather than
like
a digital board game.
A complete video game. Let's just not kid ourselves. Yeah, I get it. Definitely. I think Pepper thinks the same way. I did. And I found that the interaction among players to be a big part of it. So digital board games were lacking compared to physical counterparts in that aspect. So I definitely agree. Kyle's no punching people, all right? So you can't punch your opponent, sabi niya. But seriously, playing digital board games feels less connected with the other players versus physical. Jox says, I find that playing Twilight Imperium, TI, the other Twilight, scratches the itch, and you don't have to deal with cleanup, and that's another very important part of it. I think cleanup is such a big part of digital board gaming that it introduces, and it saves the experience. It makes a whole new experience, if anything. Aryan says, it doesn't replace the physical form, but it beats the commute. So that's one thing, right? You can take it wherever. That's super smart. Have either of you guys tried Tabletop Simulator?
I have Tabletop Simulator, pero I rarely use it to game kasi it's not automated, unlike BGA.
Right.
So usually I use Tabletop Simulator to just prototype.
Okay, interesting. Because Chris talks about TTS here, and it is fiddly. Iba pa rin yung feel na nakikita mo yung buong board in real life. Oddly, okay si Tabletop Simulator for me, for solo gaming, kasi pwede mag-save state. Again, like what you were looking for, Hans, in the card game episode, wherein you can keep things where they are and then figure them out later on. Reset, essentially, right?
Yeah, I think that's also, I remember during the lockdown, we were playing Scythe. Like,
yes.
We all downloaded Scythe. And it didn't feel the same way. We were on Discord, we were on talking to each other, but no one was talking.
You were so just, like, you were doing the things and then they spoke for themselves. Parang ganon.
Yeah, parang ganon. So, medyo boring siya. We didn't play Scythe again on digital in that regard.
Oh, kind of sucks. On the question of does it replace the physical form, Paolo Bago says, nope, not close. I guess for some games it's close. I would argue that some games are more enjoyable digital because again of the cleanup. It saves so much time. In some games I won't even touch physical. I refuse to play Legendary anymore because I hate looking for the little icons like, saan ba to? No. Or I give up. Like, why did you even start playing, right? Kong here. Sponks says, friend of mine from Thailand says, it's just for training and casual. I would say physical element is still needed. I agree. Sabi nga ni Raf, it's for practicing. It's for like thinking, should we buy this? Should we invest? And if not, then we'll move on. And then if it is, okay, we'll buy it, then we'll set game night. Justin Morelos says, sad but necessary tool for scratching the itch. That seems to be a thing that a lot of us gamers have, no? An itch. Like, when we need it. And I have a question now for you guys. Has that ever happened? Have you ever thought, like, I can't find this game physically, locally, and I can't wait for it to come from overseas. I want to get it now. Has that ever happened?
Well, there was a time na sunod-sunod yung laro namin ni Lord ng seasons. Because neither of us had seasons.
Right.
So I guess that's an itch, but until now, wala pa rin kami seasons.
Yes, that makes sense. How about you, Hans? You ever found yourself in that situation?
Mostly with the games na medyo maliit yung player base here in the Philippines, like Twilight Struggle nga, Summoner Wars, yung time na yun. Normally those games, yes. I still open Twilight Struggle time to time. In fact, I'm getting back into it competitively now. For some games, it does scratch that itch. For some, hindi.
All right. I have a confession to make. It has happened to me, and it is super duper embarrassing because it's like a low EQ moment. This happened like sometime in 2015, 2016, wherein I was hanging out at Dice and Dine, right? That old cafe of ours, and someone taught me XenoShyft. It's that deck building game, right? That deck building game wherein you're like Starship Troopers and you're defending from aliens. And sobrang, it blew my mind. I'm like, oh, I love this game. And then I'm like, I want XenoShyft. And our local stores didn't have it. So I'm like, how do I get to play XenoShyft? So I saw it on the App Store. I bought it right that very night. Because the guy wouldn't lend it to me. I just met him right then and there. And I just wanted to play more XenoShyft. So I got it on my phone. And I'm like, it's not the same. Pero okay na rin. Like, it's still pretty fun. But, again, that's one example of, like, it doesn't replace the physical aspect. We'll read a couple more comments here. We have Mikey, good friend of ours, says, it's different. It never will replace it. But, ayun, Hans, sabi niya nga, might as well play a proper video game for less hassle. Sometimes you just find yourself in that mode where, like, sayang, ba't pa ako board game na video game, pero pwede namang video game na lang. Dwayne here says, I play board games on digital platforms. It does not replace IRL gaming, but for now, it's the safe and responsible thing to do. Fun is relative. Setting up a voice or video chat helps with table talk and banter. I've never done that. Wait. I've never done that, like, to have fun, but I have done it to try it out. Does that make up for it? Parang iba pa rin kasi that you're in the same space, eh.
Medyo iba. Especially, we tried one of the Jackbox games lately that needed, like, you seeing other people, and we set up a voice chat na
with
a
video.
voice comm.
Yes.
But it didn't really click. So, I guess that's one thing na parang if magkakasama kayo and you actually see the whole thing, then it's a better experience.
Yeah. I was wondering like what Spyfall Digital would be like. I mean, there is a website that allows you to play Spyfall. I've never played it with video, so that might change things. Ikaw, Hans, have you ever tried video with voice and then you play the board game digitally?
Yeah, actually we did it on Board Game Arena.
Right.
We played King Domino, we played Sushi Go Party, we played I think Puerto Rico.
Did that help?
Nung time na yan. The voice chat really helped. Especially for Sushi Go Party.
Right.
Kasi the digital adaptation on Board Game Arena is pretty fun. And it's all automated. So you kind of feel that you're almost playing the real thing. Tapos, since everyone, they laid it out so that you can see everyone's boards and drafts, so that you actually have enough information to go on when you talk to other people, diba? And there's the banter na someone's collecting all the tempuras, don't do it, block them, ganyan. At least in that regard, meron. But for others, I think especially for Euros, there's not much to go on, especially if there's a big board. To see everything, you have to zoom out. But then when you zoom out, you can't understand anything on the map because it's too far away. That one, I think that's one of the things that's lacking in terms of being able to replicate the same experience with analog. The voice chats and the videos, of course, does help a lot.
Yeah, I think there is like a mechanical or how do you say, complexity cap to some games when it becomes digital, which is weird kasi para siyang, it's a paradox. Like, since it's digital, you can handle more things, you can handle more information. But also, since it is digital, you have to kind of pan out and you have to like zoom out and kind of have like your brain digest so many things on a single screen as compared to real life. Now it's right here. So there is that again, which is like a happy medium. There's a sweet spot. I'm not sure how much I would enjoy a super duper heavy 4X game if it was all just digital. I don't know. Well, people do play.
Civ.
Yeah, people play. There you go. But Civ is kind of like a board. It's like a video game.
Yeah, it's more a video game rather than a board game, technically.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about Through the Ages, the digital adaptation.
Oh, that's actually really good.
Yeah, from CGE. Yeah. Let's see. That one na parang it solves a lot of the experience. Na you still feel in control. You still see everything together. The complete information that you can actually talk to another person as if you're actually playing the physical component. But I think not all games are like that.
Right. Okay, so I guess we're gonna wrap up this discussion. Again, we covered a few of the pros, cons, and things that kind of grind our gears when it comes to digital board games. We heard a little bit from the community, our friends. Now, I'm gonna ask you fellas, what game do you wish had a digital rendition? I'm sure a lot of them now have. I'm looking at my shelf now, I'm like, Blood Rage. When can I get my hands on the digital Blood Rage? But I'm pretty sure it's on the way, or already beta has been out, so it's just a matter of time before I get my hands on it. It's one of my top games, one of my favorites. But I want to ask you guys, how about you? Ano yung mga games na gusto ninyo sana in the future ito magkaroon ng digital rendition, and then I'll enjoy it and play it for the rest of my life? Mine would be Blood Rage and Scythe, and since those are already digital, okay na ako. I want to hear from you guys.
A Feast for Odin would be nice.
A Feast for Odin digital, okay.
Like I can understand why. With everything so open, yes.
And basically, that's one of those games na it's so large na I rarely get to play it. So,
yeah.
It really is something na hindi ko masyadong nalalaro. So, I guess with a Feast for Odin, it being digital, I can find other people who would want to play it with me.
Yep, and then if not, they can just put in an AI and you can play solo, right?
Yeah.
Again, for that itch, right? For that itch. Ikaw, Hans, what's a game you wish had a digital rendition?
Actually, I've never checked if it does. But in my mind, it doesn't have. So
Right.
I'll say it.
Okay.
Power Grid.
Oh nga no, weird. A lot of the games that came out in its generation meron eh. Pero parang siya wala pa.
Kasi Agricola, meron na. They have, there is. I cannot remember Power Grid, and I'm pretty sure if there is, I would have come across it somehow. But so far none. So that's the game that I feel would help a lot, especially when you're trying to compute how much to spend for the houses.
Right.
The auction lang, I think if you can have it na parang naka Discord voice chat kayo para when you do the auctions, nakakatuwa with the energy.
Right.
Versus, keying in a number and
Pangit lang, no? Yeah, but again, if they can get a social deduction game like Among Us to work out without voice, then maybe auctions aren't so bad.
I think one of the challenges then, I'm sorry with board games is on the digital aspect, especially for multiplayer, is sometimes there's a lag between turns. You know how those games that
may downtime.
May
downtime. Yeah.
I play my turn and then basta the whole game, each player has like 3 hours to finish. So parang may chess clock na tumitigil lang yung turn ko when I tumitigil yung time ko when I play.
Right.
But then I can technically, come back tomorrow and then do my turn afterwards.
Right. Asynchronous play, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely. So yeah, that's weird. How did Power Grid not have a game yet, huh?
I I'm not sure, but maybe it's out there, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen it on my radar.
No. If you and I agree na wala, then baka nga wala. How about you, Raf? Are you aware of a Power Grid
I
digital?
haven't actually seen Power Grid before.
Oh yeah, see?
Wala eh. I don't know. Okay, now that we're talking about this, again, I started with like Blood Rage and Scythe. Technically, meron na yan. But here's one. I'm not sure kung meron na rin, but the Quarriors / Dice Masters dice building system. I wish that came out with a digital rendition. Something tells me I have half a mind na meron na yatang Quarriors na digital. Pero kung wala pa, then that's my intro. That's my entry. It definitely feels like it should be good digitally. Because again, rolling dice is cool. And then meron siyang combat and building aspect. Yeah.
Sana Netrunner actually magkaroon.
Like a good, official. Like an official. Hindi lang jinteki.net. Like a magic arena approach. Parang ganon. Yo, I would pay $60 for that. No cap. I would pay $60 for that. And then kahit na may bayad pa siya from then on, like per how do you say, per data pack. Yeah, may subscription fee, okay lang. Because that's how much the game is, that's how good the game is. But then again, that's a topic for another day. Alright, so that's it, our take on digital board games. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you have any thoughts, again, digital board game wish list, closing question, you can answer that in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe if you're enjoying the discussions and content we're putting up here on the GLive Game Night YouTube channel. But on behalf of Raf here and Chief Meeple Hans, my name is Leo, your host. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.